Hello YouTube, it's Tony. So today I'll show you a guide on how to utilize Adrenaline Renewals and Limitless Sigil and review on whether it's worth it or not. This is part of my PVM reviews playlist, and I also recommend that you check out my sister playlist, which shows you beginner PVM tips. Here is the table of contents. I decided to group these together because their purpose is very similar. This does require a little bit of knowledge on fundamentals of DPS, mainly using thresholds inside an ultimate. Don't worry if you don't understand because I have a beginner's DPS guide, so feel free to check this out. So I'll start with Adrenaline Potion, and you might be asking me why am I covering this even though it's so simple? That's because a lot of beginners have no clue on this item. All Adrenaline Potions share the same 2-minute cooldown timer. At the War's Retreat Adrenaline Crystals, you can actually reset the cooldown timer, but you'll have to unlock this at 2,000 combined boss kills. There are multiple types of Adrenaline Potions. The only tradable one is Super Guthix Rest, but it will only give you 15% adrenaline. If you can make overloads, you have the level requirement to make every Adrenaline Potion except for Adrenaline Renewal. Replenishment Potions require a combination potion recipe, which you can unlock in the Mailer clan. At 119 Herb Lore, you will use fewer ingredients for Adrenaline Renewals. So here is how you use Adrenaline Potions. The best way to use this is to get to thresholds faster after activating an ultimate ability. Using thresholds inside an ultimate account for a noticeable portion of your DPS. Normally, if you were to use Ring of Vigor and no adrenaline boost, it would take you 5 basic abilities before you get to your first threshold. So what you'll do instead is, immediately after you activate an ultimate ability, you want to drink the Adrenaline Potion. After 2 basics, you'll activate your first threshold. You will now get your second threshold off after building this with 2 more basics. If you have no ultimate ability active, then in most cases, this is not worth drinking. Also, please don't drink Adrenaline Potion just to get to 100% adrenaline so that you can activate an ultimate ability. It is a pretty common noob trap for people to do this. However, if you're eating a lot of solids which in turn would have drained adrenaline, then I don't blame you for this, but please try not to do this. Overall, Adrenaline Potions are used for high level PVM, although some parts of mid PVM are worth it if you're going for speed kills. When I first unlocked this, I used them at harder Slayer mobs like Ripper Demons. Then we have the Adrenaline Renewals, which will give you 40% adrenaline in total, and that is 15% more than regular Adrenaline Potions. As it occurs over 6 seconds, you should drink this immediately after you activate an ultimate ability. When you activate an ultimate and you drink this potion after using 2 basic abilities, you'll have room to get off 2 thresholds rather than having to build for your second threshold. This means you get to dump more thresholds compared to regular Adrenaline Potions. On the other hand, if you're struggling at a boss with solid foods, then it will give you some breathing room to eat a little bit so that you can still squeeze off some key thresholds. So which Adrenaline Potion should you be making and using? The short answer is either Replenishment or Adrenaline Renewals. Super Guthix Rest for the adrenaline effect isn't worth it, although it does heal you 750 HP, and it doesn't drain stats unlike Saradomin Brews. Super Adrenaline or Enhanced Replenishment Potions aren't worth it because Adrenaline Crystals are fairly expensive. I mean, if you want to make this, then you're better off upgrading to Adrenaline Renewals. For beginners, you'll be making Adrenaline Potions, then upgrading them to Replenishment. This is the most budget-friendly option because it turns 4-dose Adrenaline Potions into 6-dose while also giving you the Super Restore effect. Now please, try not to make too many of these. For high-level players, you want to make regular Adrenaline, then upgrade to Super Adrenaline, and finally Adrenaline Renewals. Now if you have leftover Replenishment Potions, then what you want to do is convert them into Enhanced Replenishment, and finally Adrenaline Renewals. It is better to skip Combination Potions since it will cost you more ingredients, which is why you don't want to make too many Replenishment Potions if you're planning to unlock this anytime soon. But Tony, doesn't 119 Herb Lore take a lot of money and time? You're right, it actually does. However, here is the catch. It is actually assistable to make Adrenaline Renewals unlike overloads. So, if the person that you're requesting to assist has 119 Herb Lore, then you can get the improved recipe benefits as well to save you ingredients. However, you just won't be getting any Herb Lore XP though. This means that you can essentially make these from as low as 87 Herb Lore. So what you want to do is make some Super Adrenaline 3-dose potions, then buy the ingredients and finally request assistance when you're ready to make these Adrenaline Renewals. Do note that 1k supplies can last you months of PVM, so if you can find a high level friend, all they need is 20 to 30 minutes of bank standing. With that said, is upgrading Adrenaline Renewals worth it? I made a calculation for cost per potion and cost per Adrenaline point. This excludes Botanist Amulet and Brooch of the Gods. With replenishment potions, you'll be spending 130 GP per point, while for renewals it's 507. I also factored in the 119 recipe because it will save you significantly more ingredients. In terms of upgrade order, I would buy all the items from the beginner upgrades video, as well as tier 90 weapons before you get this. Even though 1000 supplies worth of Adrenaline Renewals is really expensive, but you can buy any number of supplies you want, so just buy as many as you're comfortable with. Otherwise, if you can't find anyone who can assist you at 120 Herblore, then going for 120 is more of a long-term investment, so in this case, work on other things first instead. Then after this, we have the Limitless Sigil, which you can unlock this by reading the Limitless Sigil Codex. You can make this by weaving 2000 Vital Sparks. It will cost you 253 mil in order to buy all of this, but it is permanently unlocked and free of activation. Now in the past it used to be in the Sigil slot and it costed charges per activation, but nowadays it's a permanent unlock. Also, when you activate this, it will not consume the global cooldown. It lasts 6 seconds with a 90-second cooldown. Normally thresholds require 50% adrenaline to use, despite only consuming 15%. In this case, you get to activate thresholds without the 50% adrenaline requirement, but it still consumes 15%. So here is how you use Limitless Sigil. You can use 3 abilities in 6 seconds, which means if you have 45% adrenaline, you can get up to 3 thresholds off. On the RS Wiki, you would generally pair this up with Adrenaline Potion, but it's not very optimal to do this. Instead, what you'll do is cycle between Adrenaline and Limitless Sigil cooldowns. You'll use this in a similar way to Adrenaline Potions, which is by getting a threshold inside an ultimate sooner. Ideally, I would activate Limitless when you have 30% or more Adrenaline. This is because you'll have 2 key thresholds you want to get off cooldown sooner so that you'll be able to use them again inside the ultimate ability duration. You'll need to build using 3 basic abilities in order to reach 30%, unless you have Impatient perk and Fury of the Small Relic. So here is an example rotation for both of them. Rotations will vary based on the situation, but this is how I would generally use them. Obviously this is not fully optimized for overall DPS, but like I said, I'm here to give you a general idea. For melee, this is what I'll be doing as shown on my Greater Melee Abilities video, so feel free to check this out if you haven't. For the Adrenaline Potion rotation, you'll Zerk, then Greater Barge, then 2 basics, Bleed Assault, Destroy, 1 basic, and 3 hit Flurry. In this case, I've gotten off my 3 key thresholds and I still have a bit of adrenaline left. Now for the Limitless Sigil rotation, I would Zerk, then Greater Barge, then 2 basics, activate Limitless and Bleed Assault at the same time, 2 hit Flurry, 1 basic, and finally Destroy. This time, although I've gotten off 3 thresholds within Zerk, I had to cancel Flurry early. Now when it comes to Destroy, as long as you activate this before Limitless expires, the channeled ability does not end early. Alright, so moving on, we have the range rotations, which I'll start with the Adrenaline Potion. First, you would Death's Witness, then activate 2 basics, then Snapshot and Rapid Fire, and you would build for Tendrils after this. You'll have quite a bit of adrenaline so that you can work for other thresholds or even use Eldritch if you have that is, or possibly SGB. In both cases of range, your goal is to try to get 2 Snapshots and 2 Rapid Fires inside an ultimate. On the other hand, if you were to use Limitless right now, you would Death's Witness, then 3 basics, then Snapshot and Rapid Fire, and once again you would still build for Tendrils. Now because range benefits very well with SGB, it's a little bit different but it's very expensive, so I'll do this on another video instead. Here is the magic rotation. For the Adrenaline Potion rotation, I would Sunshine, then 2 basics, Wild Magic, Asphyxiate, and after this you would use either Gothic Staff on EOF or Detonate depending on how much adrenaline you have. You'll have quite a bit of adrenaline to use both of them anyways. For the Limitless rotation, you'll use Sunshine, then 3 basics, Wild Magic, Asphyxiate, and you would want to build for Detonate instead because you'll have less adrenaline to work with. Now, in case anyone's wondering, Gothic Staff is actually a decent ability, especially if you have an EOF, but it does burn 25% adrenaline instead of 15%. Now, if you're 4-ticking, you'll definitely have more adrenaline to work with when it comes to magic. But yeah, in terms of thresholds, you want to get off Wild Magic and Asphyxiate twice within a Sunshine rotation. Now that I've demonstrated rotations for both of them, which is better to use if they're both off cooldown? I'm gonna go with the Adrenaline Potion because it gives you more room for thresholds to burn as it has a higher overall adrenaline gain. However, Limitless is completely free to use once it's unlocked. I would use this at Slayer mobs or Elite dungeons if you don't want to burn Adrenaline Potions. Also, Limitless does have a slightly shorter cooldown. Now, if you want absolute burst DPS for dumping thresholds, then you can use both of them together. So with all of that said, is Limitless Sigil worth unlocking? That really depends on which combat style you want to upgrade. Unlike tier 92 weapons and tier 99 prayers, it's actually cheaper as well as benefiting all 3 combat styles. Don't worry, I will do a full guide on upgrades for all styles in the future. On melee setups, I'd say it's more important because Zerk lasts shorter, while for magic and range setups you have more time to use thresholds inside of an ultimate. Either way, I strongly recommend you get other adrenaline boosters like Fear of the Small Relic from Archaeology or the Impatient perk at least. Overall, there is a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to using Adrenaline Potions or Limitless Sigil, but once you understand these rotations, they will become a staple in an ultimate ability rotation. So yeah, thanks for watching and I hope it helps. If I missed anything, feel free to ask. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't done so already, because I will do more PVM review guides in the future.